The elevation view with the island and furnishings that we used in the previous lesson worked pretty well for labeling and dimensioning, but let's say we need to see what's behind the kitchen island in order to dimension that as well. In that case, we're going to need to create an additional scene in our SketchUp model with the island layer turned off. So back into SketchUp, select the front elevation scene, and then toggle both the island and table and chairs layers off. Check to be sure that our scene settings are all selected, and then add a new scene and give it a name. Finally, save your model. And back in Layout, update the model reference again. We now have a new scene to choose from. Let's duplicate the front elevation page and give it a unique name like No Island. Then switch the elevation view to the new scene that we just created and watch as our island and furnishings disappear. Now suppose we need the island or furnishings to show, but we want to ghost them in for reference without blocking what's behind. If everything in our view is coming from just one SketchUp scene, then we can't differentiate between the foreground and the background elements very easily. That's where stacking or layering multiple viewports on top of one another comes in. Stacking viewports allows us to apply different style and rendering settings to each view. To do this, copy and paste our current scene so that we have two scenes on top of one another. Then change the view of the top scene to front island only. Next, adjust the bounding box so that we can select either the foreground or background view. Let's now do some quick styling edits to differentiate between the island and the wall elevation behind. With the back view selected, change the style to hidden line like before. Now we should have a color island over a black and white background. Next, we can change the line weights of the island view. Let's bump it up to 2 to make it read a little bit more prominent. We can now do the opposite as well by keeping the back view colored and changing the style of the island. In order to do this, we first need to change the scene style to hidden line, then change the rendering style from raster or hybrid to vector. And then, in order to be able to edit the line work, we need to explode the view. Exploding a view converts it into a scaled drawing. We'll get into more detail about creating and working with scaled drawings in an upcoming lesson. For now, go ahead and right-click and then select Explode. Once exploded, we no longer have a dynamic link back to our model. Instead, we have the ability to control the vector lines and style. Let's change the island and the table's stroke to a really light gray, and maybe even dash the lines to allow it to sort of disappear and function as just a reference only.